Recording in progress.
This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Public Facilities Committee. It is January 21st, and at the beginning of the meeting today we have from Ward 2, Councilor Albright, Ward 4, Councilor Damubed, Ward 5, Councilor Getz, and Vice Chair of Council of the meeting. Committee. We have Councilor Gordon from Ward 6, Councilor Grossman from Ward 7, myself, Councilor Kalis from Ward 8. We have Commissioner of DPW, Shauna Sullivan, and Deputy Commissioner McDonald here, Clerk Pennell. Anybody else? Oh yes, Director of Transportation Ed Codd, and Alejandro. What's your title currently?
Currently, I'm the Deputy Commissioner.
Deputy Commissioner of Buildings.
Councilor Kalis, I believe John Dagnan is also.
Oh, and City Engineer John Dagnan. Thank
Josh
you.
Morse.
Oh, and we have COO Josh Morse. Great. Okay. All right. So let's get to the first item, which is 30-26, appointment of Alejandro Valcarce as Commissioner of Public Buildings. And COO Morse, do you want to present here?
It would be my honor to present. Thank you very much, everybody. This is a little weird. I have all three Ps running on 3 different laptops this evening. So if you see me looking left and right, it's because I'm presenting simultaneously to 3 committees. But you have my undivided attention for at least the next few minutes. So it is my pleasure to present Alex Valcarce as the proposed next Public Buildings Commissioner. Alex has worked with me as my right-hand man for a very long time. Looking around the room, many of you have served on our working groups, and you certainly have been involved in many of our large capital building projects. It has truly been an honor to work with Alex. It's been a partnership over the years. Succession planning is something that I worked very hard on from very early on. You know, I tell people that ask me about it. We and Alex could speak to this too. We have several members of our team that could easily step into our roles. And I think that we've built an incredible department with multiple layers of leadership that could all step in at a moment's notice should it be necessary. But tonight is all about Alex stepping into this new position, new to him. And I have no doubt in my mind he's going to do an incredible job. He's been a wonderful leader, an incredible team player. I think one of the things that I like a lot about him, aside from his chops and his professional ability, you know, he's certainly qualified to do the job. I think he also strikes that incredibly hard balance of, you know, being empathetic with the community, listening carefully, being responsive, caring deeply about what we do and the people we serve, and at the same time recognizing when we need to push to get things done and when we need to slow down and make things, you know, make sure that we're being responsive. He's an incredible asset to the city of Newton and the building department. He's well respected by the entire department. I think he's well respected by the rest of the departments and department heads and the community that he serves. I could tell you more about his credentials, but I think they speak for themselves. His resumes in the backup. He could do this job with his eyes closed. So I am proud to present Alex Valcarce as the next Public Buildings Commissioner for the city of Newton.
Thank you, COO Morse. Mr. Valcarce, you want to join us? Sure. And I think we've been joined by Councilor Kelly. Ward 3. Okay. Great. So does anybody have questions for Mr. Valcarce? Councilor Albright.
I don't have a question. I just wanted to say I've worked with you on so many projects. And everything that I wanted to say, Josh, that's Mr. Morse, I guess COO Morse just said, is absolutely correct. I've seen how you interact with the public, how you interact with staff. And it's gonna be a great experience to have you serve as the commissioner.
Councilor Getz.
Welcome. I actually am appreciative of what Mr. Morse said, just in terms of like that there is layers of any of you to be able to step into leadership. And I think that that's such a, incredible sort of, the way that you formulate it this way is wonderful, because you've been prepping for this position and you could do it. And it's wonderful to hear that that's there. So welcome. And, there's a lot on your plate right now. So thank you. Just thank you.
Councilor Grossman.
I just want to add to the comments because my very first assignment when I came onto the council was to serve on the Lincoln Elliott Working Group, which blew up a little bit into the NECP and Lincoln Elliott Working Group. So I had the pleasure of meeting with Alex very regularly for my first number of years on the council, then through COVID, then coming back. And honestly, I have to say, it was one of my very favorite things to work on. And a large part of that was because of how much I enjoyed working with you and your team. And honestly, was blown away by your level of expertise, know-how, and that is only exceeded by what a pleasure it is to spend time with you on a team. So I'm thrilled. And I'm thrilled with the succession planning that your team was able to put into place. It's been a really successful, at least I've been around 8 years of building projects, and I'm really excited to see where you take it from here.
And I'll just add, it seems everybody that's worked with you enjoys working with you, and I think that's really important. And your ability to listen to everybody is a terrific skill beyond all the technical skills that you have. I think that's really important. So, I'm very happy. Is there a motion?
I would be happy to move approval.
Okay, so there's a motion to move approval on this item. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for all the kind words, and we will continue to carry on in buildings and keep our success and legacy moving along.
Excellent.
Thanks.
All right, the next item is 12-26. Eversource petition for a grant of location on Rumford Avenue. And Joanne Callender, are you here?
Joanne's on vacation this week. Hannah Cooper is also here. I'm Rick Schifoni from Eversource, the supervisor. I'm also here to answer any questions that the committee might have.
Okay, and then Trumbull Barrett.
Yes, I'm here as well. I'm the property owner.
Right, and then John Dagnan. Excellent. So, as you all know, we had some questions last time we met, the committee met. What I think we should just start with is, if it's okay with the committee, I spoke with Trumbull. He's the property owner, and he talked through what they're doing, and I thought that it would be useful to hear that, and then we could get to some questions.
Yeah, thank you. Should I just get going?
Yes, please.
Okay. So my name is Trumbull. I am the owner of Barrett Tree Service, and we have 2 locations, one in Medford, and we rent a space in Newton. And that rental space has gone pretty well, so we looked for a property to purchase. So we found that space on Rumford Avenue, and so we're putting together a space there to store our trucks and to dispatch and perform work right there in Newton. Helps us reduce the amount of time we're on the road, and helps our crews have a little bit better work-life balance. And so it was a vacant piece of land. And so, we want to bring power into the property. And with the help of the folks at Eversource, we figured out that the poles along the road were at capacity. I don't want to speak out of turn, but that's my understanding. Yeah, thank you, Rick. And also, actually, as the council correctly guessed at the last meeting, I was able to watch the video of it. We really don't want to have overhead lines into our building, just because we have trucks coming and going, and I don't know, we plan to be there for a long time, and I just think it looks better to have them underground. So whether we're going to have them overhead or underground, we needed a new pole in order to get power to the facility. And, so here we are. We'd like to get power into the space. And I'm no expert in this, but I guess we need to grant a location to put the new pole so we can run the wires down the pole and under the street.
Barrett. All right, questions from the committee. Councillor Albright.
I was thrilled that you planned to underground the wires to your building. I just didn't understand why I think it's 3 transformers or something. Why do they have to be on a pole? Why can't they be either underground or at ground level?
All right, the reason that is the primary that feeds the transformers is overhead on the pole. So,
Please introduce who you are.
oh, I'm sorry, Rick Schifoni from Eversource.
Okay.
So there is no primary underground on Rumford. Everything's overhead. So with the primary and the overhead, we had to put the transformers on a new pole because the poles on either side of that are already full of transformers. So it's at capacity. We needed more transformation at 100 Rumford. So we need another pole to put a transformer to pick up the overhead primary. And then what it's going to do is it'll turn it into what we consider secondary power on the other side of the transformer. That'll travel down the pole, under the street, into the property. So it's an underground service from an overhead pole.
So, but why, I mean, I've seen locations where the whole thing is underground and not just, I mean, can you not underground the transformers? Can you not put them in a vault under the ground?
That would involve underground of the entire street, which is a major and costly option. Once an area is overhead, it stays overhead unless somebody wants to pay to put the entire underground, put the entire facilities underground, and that would include us, Verizon, any cable companies. Everybody would have to come off and get underground, and it's a major operation.
So the answer is you can't put one single pole's worth of transformers underground. You have to do the whole street worth of transformers and wires, etc.
Correct. The primary runs at the top of the poles along the entire length of the street, and each transformer taps off of that primary and runs underground from there. And the need for a new pole is because there's no room on the adjacent poles on either side because they already have transformers on them.
Councillor Grossman.
Thank you. So if I'm understanding this correctly, the primary is on a different pole than this new proposed pole. Is that correct?
The primary is on all the poles. It runs along, it's a wire that runs along the top of the pole. That's the high voltage wire. When I say primary, it's a high voltage wire. That's too high of a voltage for any service to use. So it has to go through a transformer and drop it down to like your regular secondary voltage, whether it be 110, 220, 480. It's a lower voltage, and that's what each service to a house will be, is the lower voltage. And that is the one that's going to go down the pole and under the street.
And forgive me for not knowing this. I'm new to this committee.
Oh, understood.
How this works. So, okay, now I understand that the primary is a wire.
Correct.
So it's going to come into the pole, and then
Yeah.
it's through these 3 transformers and then down into the ground. The primary wire, where is it getting its power from?
Most likely from Watertown Street. It runs the entire length of the circuit. The primary line is it leaves the station. It runs, down Watertown Street, up Rumford. All those transformers tap off that single, well, there's actually 3 primaries on the top of the poles. And all the transformers along all the streets tap off of those primary voltages, drop them down to something that the houses or the services can use.
So in neighborhoods where everything is undergrounded, that primary wire is also underground?
Correct.
And where's that picking up? Like, I guess what I'm trying to understand is there some place that there's a larger piece of equipment that feeds the primary, and in some places it's able to live underground? Or does that always live above ground and there's just certain neighborhoods where that connection is made underground to do the rest?
Correct. Usually like in a downtown area where we've gotten rid of poles, everything will be put underground. So all your primary is going to be underground and your transformers are going to be underground. And they'll run, or we'll put, there's other alternatives where the primary is underground and we'll put pad mounted transformers on people's property to feed them, but that's all underground. But that's in an underground area. We look at it as we either have an overhead area or an underground area. And you supply each customer from either the overhead or the underground. So a lot of the major arteries in town, you will see that there is, if there's no telephone poles with wires on them, it's all underground. So everybody's getting their service from the underground.
Interesting. Okay, thank you.
Would it be too dangerous to have the primary feed transformers that were at ground level? Somehow it comes down the pole and feeds those transformers?
That is possible. It wouldn't alleviate the need to have another pole.
It wouldn't? Even
No, because we're also limited to how many, when you're bringing power from a pole down to the underground, you're going down a pipe, which we would call a riser. Well, you can only put so many risers on a pole. Otherwise, you'll box the pole in and you'll never be able to replace it in the future. So once we reach 3 risers on a pole, we need another pole if you're going to go down that pole with a new service.
That's very helpful.
Yeah, this is fascinating. Sort of like,
Yeah. Any other questions? Councilor Donovan?
Thank you both for being here and for presenting. I think at the last meeting, we had a question about why 3 transformers were needed and what kind of use was going to be happening on 100 Rumford, and whether it was due to electric vehicle charging or just why that level of capacity was needed. So, Mr. Barrett, if you don't mind kind of explaining a little bit about what you'll have going on there.
Yeah, happy to speak to that. We have a couple of things going on there. The primary, maybe that's the wrong word to use. I guess the most amperage we're going to need is for electric car chargers. There's a number of different electric car chargers, one of which is like a faster one, which requires 3-phase power. So hence the 3 phases that we need to have come into the building. Also, it's a repair. We're going to use it to, maintain some of our equipment, and some of the machinery we use to maintain the equipment also requires 3-phase power. So it's a 400 amp service. I'm not mistaken, Rick. Does that sound right?
That's right.
And which I'm an arborist, but my understanding is that it's fairly common to bring 400 amps into like a 2-family house. So I guess in relation to what we all might be familiar with, I don't know that it is sort of out of the, it's sort of out of standard practice.
Yeah, by 3 transformers, we're actually tapping off of all 3 primary wires. There's 3 separate primary wires on that pole. And it's just a different kind of service that gives you more flexibility on what you're going to be using, like a charger or something like that. If you need a fast charge, you're going to have a 3-phase service to it. It gets more power to it quicker.
Part of it is we're forecasting. I mean, obviously my ability to forecast the future is limited, but if our fleet is able to get a little bit electrified in the future, so for example, we use electric cars for the majority of our sales fleet, but if we're able to get some of our larger trucks to be electric, we absolutely will need that 3-phase power to charge those vehicles in that facility.
Well, that's great, Mr. Barrett. It's nice to hear that you're forward thinking and thinking about.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Motion?
So I move to approve the grant location for this utility pole on Rumford Ave.
Thank you, Councilor Donovan. So there's a motion to approve. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so that's it. All
Thank you
right,
very much.
thank you both for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Have a good night.
Goodbye.
you don't need to stay.
And they're not.
Okay, next item.
Thank you.
33-26. requesting discussion regarding Day Street, Fuller Street, and Commonwealth Avenue intersection redesign. Councilors Block, Gentile, Princeton, Farrell, and Wright requesting a discussion to consider the road and bump out redesign recently constructed at the intersection of Day Street, Fuller Street, and Commonwealth Ave, and whether an alternative design would improve safety for pedestrians, bicyclists, and drivers. All right, so we have Director of Transportation Ned Codd, and Commissioner Sullivan and Deputy Commissioner McDonald. We'd love to hear from you on this. Just so everybody knows, I did speak with the docketers. They're all passionate about this, but none of them could attend. But we do have Councillor Donovan from the ward, which is great. Okay.
Counselor, if you'll permit, Ned Codd, Director of Transportation, has a presentation.
Oh, great.
It's just very brief, kind of.
And why don't you join us?
Really kind of a before and after.
Why don't you join us?
Okay, sure. Okay, and that's the title slide, and it's really not a bump out per se. It's really an intersection reconfiguration. It's trying to take, if you could go to the next slide, thank you. This is
It's teeing up the intersections.
right.
That's the best way to give a visual.
Yeah, it's really taking what was a, sort of very wide open, really sort of outmoded, obsolete, not really safe intersection configuration, kind of bringing a bunch of streets together and just leaving some very wide open paved areas that enable very fast movements as well, like in particular the eastbound right turn from Commonwealth Avenue to Fuller Street. That turn, I have seen cars take that turn, definitely well into the 30 miles an hour, approaching 40 miles an hour, because it is so gentle and wide. And at the same time, allowing for what really is an illegal turn, the left turn from Fuller directly to Day. And those two, those two movements being in conflict, enabled by, what is sort of a very, wide open paved area, crossing also two very long crosswalks that don't have great sight lines. We have schools in the area, plenty of pedestrian activity. And it really, it's sort of an obsolete and outmoded intersection design. We checked the crash history, 16 crashes in 10 years, 3 injury crashes, 1 serious bicyclist injury. So if you go to the next slide, this is and this is something that we do, when we have the opportunity, as we are doing major repaving projects. We repaved Fuller Street this summer and early fall, and when we do major repaving jobs, we also do sidewalk repairs, ADA accessibility upgrades, and we will sometimes reset curbs, and sometimes do sort of minor intersection reconfigurations, mostly to promote safety in all modes, largely focusing on pedestrian safety and accessibility. and this was an opportunity that we saw to shorten these pedestrian crossings. And as the commissioner said, really take what was kind of a wide open free-for-all and turn it into two conventional T intersections of Day Street and Fuller Street with Commonwealth Avenue. And you know, I've been out a lot to observe. I know we had an unfortunate incident early on where a vehicle that was not expecting this intersection redesign actually drove over the curb and the new you know, kind of little you know, sort of built out area. But we have since we enhanced the pavement markings, put in edge lines, put in reflective signs marking the corners to enhance the visibility. I've gone out a bunch of times to observe, and drivers do seem to be driving it more slowly. In particular, that movement to from eastbound Commonwealth Avenue to Fuller Street. We've made the sidewalks, or sorry, the crosswalks much narrower. It's a much more direct pedestrian pathway along the south side of Comm Ave there. You know, we have a couple of photos of the after on the next slide. We worked with Newton Fire Department because we know, you know, fire station number 2 is right, you know, 500 feet away. This you know, the movement from Comm Ave to Fuller Street is a major and very important emergency route. So we worked with fire to make sure that they could take it at a speed that didn't cause them, you know, concerns about their response time. And you know, we haven't you know, we tested it out we coned it off, we tested it out, and you know, haven't heard any concerns from them since we have completed. And we have some photos on the next slide, and you can see it's, you know, it's just like two T intersections. You know, we see that I was out here for all of, you know, 5 or 10 minutes, and I saw, you know, three kids cycling along here. You know, so you know, hopefully slowing those vehicles and the movements down helps with overall safety in the area. And
Those of the
again,
committee who can't see it, on the lower left picture, Fuller is on the left, Day is on the right. In the upper one, that's Fuller right close to us and Day further on. And at the bottom right is Fuller on the left, Day on the right. Anything else?
and we, you know, we did after this was built, we heard concerns from residents who are, you know, some of whom are here this evening. We met with ward councilors and representatives from the neighborhood a couple of times. The second time that we met with them, they brought some concepts that we are working to, you know, try to turn into some roadway designs. And you know, we've said that we'll come back out and we'll show those designs and talk through you know, how those alternative concepts work.
So any questions from the committee? All right, so. Mr. Grossman.
One brief just clarification looking at these images. So these are the afters. The fence and what looks like a pretty sizable tree in what I presume is the bumped out area. I think it's kind of easiest to see in the lower right-hand picture where the two bicyclists are.
This?
Yeah, so that fence and that tree, those were pre-existing. So you extend like basically kind of mulched around it out and added almost like what looks like a baseball diamond sidewalk there. Right? Like were all those sidewalk pieces there prior?
Nope, this was all roadway, so if you go back to, the two slides back. Yeah, so I think this is that tree. The sidewalk, I believe, was behind that tree,
Okay.
up against the fence. This is all the new curb comes out basically like that. You know, something like that.
Okay. And what was the final cost of the work done to date?
It is part of our paving contract. So it is a separate, I can get you that cost.
I'm just sort of particularly interested because as we're talking about potentially new designs, I'm just curious, keeping an eye on
Likely,
what was spent, what we may spend, that sort of
we
thing.
would need to come back for additional.
That's fine. I have a lot of listening to do on this one. I just wanted to make sure I understood what I was looking at. It's great. Thank you.
Yeah, and I, you know, defer to the commissioner, but I believe the idea is, oh, here is a safety improvement where we're out here doing work and we're mobilized, we have all the equipment, we can get out here and do like sort of a major safety improvement, very cost effective.
It is cost effective because we are mobilized, all the materials are already there. And the equipment.
So, right.
Two questions. One has to do with, when you're coming east on Commonwealth Avenue, you're at the intersection with Washington Street. And people maybe this has to do with people not knowing about the new traffic design. But they're in the far right lane and they go straight and then they find out, oops, I can't go anywhere except for making a right turn. But they don't, they try and get into the middle, what's really the middle lane. And it's kind of dangerous because they, you know, I feel like twice I've been almost hit by people trying to get out of the way of making that turn. So I'm wondering if there could be some better signage for the people who are in that right lane. You know, this is a turn lane.
We should probably sign before the intersection. There is a dedicated turn lane there now. We did
Now
that.
I know there's a turn lane, but the people at the intersection don't know it.
They don't know there's a new configuration. That's,
I hear you. We are looking at the Washington intersection.
I think that would help a lot if people were not surprised, oops, I can't go anywhere, let me go, then they try and hit somebody.
So
that-
we have put some new signage out there
Okay,
when we, I believe in the spring, actually before we did this improvement, we turned it into a right turn only lane. And we did add some signage and we made it like, at about halfway in between Washington Street and Day Fuller, we made it a solid white line. So if you need to get over into the through lane to continue on Comm Ave eastbound, you have the signs and the pavement markings that signal that to you. But we'll look and we'll make sure.
people stopped at that light, they don't know what's coming.
Mhm.
And we'll all learn it, everybody will learn it over time, but it would be nice not to have anybody hit anybody in the meantime. If you could have some signage at the intersection, that would be.
Sure.
great. The other thing is, did people used to turn, apparently from this picture people did used to turn left from Fuller into Day.
Mhm.
And now you have to go all around that big intersection to make it legal. You can't turn left into Day anymore without going to the light and coming around.
Where you go out and come up.
You could,
You,
You
if
go out
you
of
do a very large U-turn.
That's what I'm
Through the
talking
middle
about.
of Palm Ave.
You go out, yeah,
No, well, I think it technically is legal. I did it last night, just to make sure that I understood it, and if you're on Fuller, you kind of cross the eastbound lanes of Comm Ave. You take an immediate left into the westbound lane, and then you take another immediate left, crossing again the two eastbound lanes.
that feels very dangerous.
It's actually terrifying.
It's-
And even at 10 p.m. I was scared.
I went up to the light. The only way that I felt I was comfortable was to go up to the light and make a U-turn and come back. Because doing it any other way puts yourself in terrible danger. So I guess people must object to having the loss of that turn. There's nothing to be done about that.
well, people can make that movement. They can also come via Comm Ave and turn left onto Day Street.
Instead of going down Fuller.
From wherever else they're
Oh,
coming from.
Just you have another way to go.
Yeah.
Don't make that.
Don't
turn.
use Fuller, yeah.
Yeah.
Are
Okay.
people using Fuller primarily to avoid the traffic?
Let's, so Counselor Getz.
Yeah, I know this intersection. And it's unfortunate because it's very wide. It's also got topography. So the Comm is usually moving very fast, you know. I drove it today, and I sort of see the intent, you know, in terms of the safety that's been created, you know, and I wonder, well, just specifically in terms of the bump out or the, you know, that creation of the island, how much of it was private and, because you're saying that the sidewalk was behind that tree. So that's all public way that's been then made into the island, correct? There was no taking of the.
There was no impact to
Okay.
private property.
Okay, all right. Well, I see some potential solutions, you know, in terms of Marathon Day, you know, that it could get ramped. Or that you could, because I was trying to sort of visualize if someone had to cut literally right over this island, they could do it. If they had to with an emergency vehicle, you know, in terms of, you know, just ramping the curb and then just, you know, creating a way to, because there's a back way to do Miles Lane. You take, you know, during Marathon Day, because I'm very close in terms of being in Woburn Center. What you do is you take Fuller to Chestnut, and then there's a back way into New Miles Lane from literally Beacon, you know, so you would go Fuller to Chestnut to Beacon, and then you go in this driveway into the back of Miles Lane. So that's the way anybody would need to go from our side, you know, in terms of the Marathon, because this neighborhood is blocked both Route 16 and Connell. They are dealing with it. But how are they going to get out of this neighborhood with the Marathon?
There are several locations that are
Yeah,
blocked,
yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah,
They
and this
do
is
work
going to
on
be
plan for
one of,
that. Do
so-
wanna assure you.
yeah, so I was literally trying to visualize, okay, you just ramped this island, you know, you literally, you know, go from Fuller across the island today, you know, with those, like what they do on Washington Street, you know, those plastic things that you could put down. It can be done. I'm just trying to solve that problem.
Thank you.
Okay. But, I'm really here to listen. to
Yeah. So what I want to do is go to Counselor Donald and Morton. And then, it's not a public hearing, but there are some public here, and we've gotten a lot of emails, so I'd like to hear from them as well. So why don't we, with you?
Yeah, so the first thing that I think is important to say is that actually, when I saw this being constructed, I thought, oh, this was last year, this is a great thing. I love to see these little parklets carved out and, you know, more green space added to the city. And so I was pretty excited to see it. And then as you know, having heard from the community since then, I'm understanding that this has become a real challenge in several ways. And I think the first thing that should be said that I've heard from the community is that there have been some safety improvements, and some of the intent is appreciated in the progress that's been made around the shortening of the sidewalks and those kinds of things. And so I think there's a hope that some of the goals of what this teeing up, right, of what this teeing up has achieved are preserved, and that's carried forward. But I think the issues, the first big issue is what we were talking about, which is that access into Day Street is now really difficult. And do you mind going this not to the maybe to this one. As you can see, that turning from Fuller onto Day is quite challenging now. You kind of have to go across 2, 1, back over 3. And as I said, even trying this last night at 10 p.m. with almost no cars, it was pretty difficult actually to find even a moment when it seemed feasible to do this. So the access being changed, I think is causing us a significant challenge for the neighborhood. And Councillor Getz, I think you mentioned Marathon Day, which is also, you know, it's a one-day issue, but it is an issue. And Commissioner Sullivan, you mentioned that there are other places in the city that this is true, but my understanding is that actually the scale of those is quite different.
Can you articulate the issue?
Yes, so the neighborhood is about 80 plus houses and 5 or so streets. And because Day Street is the only outlet at its 2 ends, one of them is Comm Ave and one is Washington Street. And so on Marathon Day, both exits are blocked. And so there's no way to enter and exit the neighborhood. Previously, the way was that you could take from Day Street, you could take a right onto Fuller and exit that way. But now you can't do that because you have to cross into Comm Ave first and then take another right onto Fuller. So with those 2 streets being blocked, you know, there are about 80 plus houses that can't get in and out of their neighborhood on Marathon Day. And my understanding is that while this happens at 4 other places along the route, they're all quite a bit smaller. The streets are quite a bit smaller, 4 to 5 houses. Stanton Ave is a little bit of an exception. It's Golden Meyer House and 4 or 5 houses. So and those are all streets where people knew when they bought their homes that the marathon happens, that you know that access will be blocked on Marathon Day, whereas here on Day Street, this is new after 100 years of the marathon having a certain route and this being a possible turn for people, a way out through Fuller Street to do. I think the hope is that through a redesign, which sounds like you're already considering or looking at alternatives, that we could find an alternative that redesigns this intersection in a way that preserves the safety improvements and measures, but also preserves the level of access that this neighborhood has historically had, both throughout all 365 days of the year. So both regular access to and from Day and Fuller that feels safe and comfortable, and also some solutions for Marathon Day. And I think pending the feasibility of an alternative and its timeline, understanding, as Councillor Getz was hinting at, what kind of single day solutions are possible for Marathon Day to ensure safety, not just of or to ensure access, not just of emergency vehicles, but that people have access to their homes and their vehicles on Marathon Day and can attend appointments wherever they need to attend appointments in their lives, is another goal. So I think the hope is really to be able to find an alternative that meets the neighborhood's goals and preserves the city's intent.
Thank you, Councillor Tom. Councillor Clark.
If we're gonna hear from the residents, I don't have anything more to add.
Okay.
I wanna listen, I think actually between Councilor Grossman and Donovan, you've covered my statements.
Excellent. All right. So, I know Mr. Alpern.
Yes.
Wanna, submit, well, tell us your name and address, and then, any comments that you have.
Do you mind if I stand to your right so that I
Fine.
can address the committee? I know there are numerous neighbors who logged in,
Okay.
at least so that they can see who I am when I speak.
And for the neighbors as well, if you do want to speak, if something is not mentioned, feel free to raise your hand, but I want to try to limit this to about 15 minutes. So if he says something and, if whatever he says, he missed something that you want to add in, please add that in, and, we'll go from there.
Thank you.
But we'll need everybody's name and address as you speak.
Thank you, Chairman Kalis. Councilors Kelly, Grossman, Larry, Getz, Dumabed, Gordon, and Albright, as well as Commissioner Sullivan and Deputy Commissioner Donald and Director Cod. Thank you for allowing us to be here tonight and for placing item 3325 on the docket. Thank you for allowing us to make a statement on behalf of about 200 people in our neighborhood in those approximately 800 homes. My name is Robert Alperin. My wife Ellen and I have resided at 40 Leslie Road for a little more than 30 years. I am one of 4 residents in our neighborhood action committee that was formed to represent the interests of our neighborhood in this matter. My 3 other colleagues include Mark Tracey, who is here. He lives at 88 Day Street. He has been there for 43 years. Dr. Mitch Levine, who I know is online at 17 Hope Street, and Jennifer Howe at 144 Day Street. The 4 of us represent a collective 125 years of residence in that neighborhood. And by now, you're well aware of this oversized, we continue to refer to it as a bump out. This is the first that I've heard of it as a intersection redesign. But it encompasses about 1,800 square feet. It's about 48 feet in length and about 30 feet wide. It protrudes out into from the sidewalk by as much as 40 feet in some places. Ever since the onset of this unannounced construction project and the creation of our Neighborhood Action Committee, we've been guided by 3 design principles. First, we agree with the goals laid out by the DPW and traffic departments to slow the eastbound ComAv traffic turning right onto Fuller, which Mr. Cod pointed out. And that has been made better by this reconfiguration, as well as the goal of eliminating potential high-speed head-on collisions that Mr. Cod pointed out between that same eastbound ComAv traffic turning right onto Fuller and westbound Fuller traffic turning left onto Day into our neighborhood. Frankly, that's been made worse. The second design principle that has guided us in our unwavering call to return our previously unimpeded 365-day-a-year ingress and egress to and from Fuller Day Streets without having to compete with heavy ComAv traffic, which had previously existed for over 100 years, which is about the age of our neighborhood. This day Fuller access is not just a convenience for our neighborhood. It's literally a lifeline, as was pointed out by some of the counselors here, particularly on Marathon Monday. And that's not an exaggeration or hypothetical. The Fuller Day access has been used on more than one occasion to receive immediate life-saving medical care during healthcare crises. And without it, it's not difficult to imagine a catastrophe of our own making. Second, the Fuller Day access is the main artery in and out of our neighborhood before, during, and after the marathon for our invited families, friends, and guests to join us for barbecues, parties, as we celebrate the spectacle of the Boston Marathon. Our proximity to the Boston Marathon is a gift. It's almost like having VIP tickets to the front row of the Super Bowl every year. These annual gatherings are an essential part of the fabric of our close-knit community, and they'll be greatly diminished, perhaps even extinguished by the loss of the Fuller Day access. Last, the Fuller Day access is not just important on Marathon Monday. I need to underscore that. It's not just one day a year that we need this unimpeded access. It's an initial ingress and egress for many people in our neighborhood, particularly seniors, who find it difficult to utilize the only other exit in our neighborhood, which is Route 16 Washington Street, because of its ever busy high-speed traffic flow. So without the return of our unimpeded Fuller Day Street access, our residents are forced to negotiate with one busy high-speed traffic flow or another every time they enter or exit our neighborhood. Route 16 Comm Ave on one side and Route 16 and Washington Street and Route 30 Comm Ave on the other. The third design principle that has guided us includes improving the safety of pedestrians when crossing Day and Fuller Street. That has been made better in some ways, but worse in other ways. But the more critical pedestrian safety issues pertains to our neighborhood children who attend Pierce Elementary School and who cross Comm Ave each and every weekday at the height of morning and afternoon rush hours. This has not been addressed at all. I know we've spoken to Commissioner Sullivan and Deputy Commissioner McDonald and Traffic Director Todd. There are discussions about what we can do, but that remains the primary pedestrian safety that hasn't been addressed. There are other intersection configurations that will address all three of these guiding principles without compromising any one of them. We proposed two of them to Director Codd, Commissioner Sullivan, and Deputy Commissioner McDonald. Perhaps there are others as well. We're here tonight to ask this Public Facilities Committee to support and help us in our effort to expeditiously move this towards the reconsideration and reconfiguration of this DCF intersection so that all safety concerns are properly addressed, and to do so before the next running of the Boston Marathon on Monday, April 20th, 2026. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, councilors.
Thank you. All right. Don't see any other hand. Yes, our COO, Morse. Why don't you speak first?
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time this evening, and I appreciate the comments from the community. I've seen some emails over the last few months as well. I'm a little late to this party, but I want to start by just saying, on behalf of the Laredo administration, we are sorry to the residents. We recognize that the communication and certainly the collaboration early on in this process could have been better. And I think we would be in a different position right now had it been better. That is something that we will and already are charged with improving as we move forward. So my sincere apologies to the neighborhood, and I want everybody to be assured that we are tracking this issue carefully. This is a conversation that Commissioner Sullivan, Ned Codd, and others and I have had quite frequently, including today, and this is not the end. And I do recognize a sense of urgency from the neighbors as well, as we look forward to evaluating their proposals and trying to strike the right balance here to meet as many objectives as possible, while also recognizing and to the extent that we can addressing and mitigating the concerns that they have raised.
Thank you, Mr. Morse. Much appreciated. And then Ms. Lerner, is that the name? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Hello. I appreciate all of your interest and the comments that have been made. I just wanted to add one other comment about biking. So I'm a 35-year resident on Holman Road, and I agree with everything that has been said tonight by Robert representing our community and others. When we bike from Washington Street onto Commonwealth Avenue, around that turn, what now happens when we get near the intersection of Day and Fuller is because cars don't know what to do. You know, the bikers end up trying to stay to the right to stay out of any mischief, but we have to eventually get into the bike lane, which is on Commonwealth Avenue going east. So we're stuck in a situation where there's really nowhere to go. We're in that intersection. We're stuck in that intersection where there is no bike lane for a piece of the road. And I think the drivers don't know what to expect from bikers. So then it makes the whole situation so much more complicated and so much more dangerous. So there's not a continuous bike lane, and their drivers aren't really sure where the bikers are supposed to be. And it's just gotten so much worse with that intersection, with all the arrows pointing in a zillion different directions and a lot of street signs. So I feel much more at risk. And I'm one of those people who plans to age in place here and want to continue biking and want to do it safely. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lerner. What's your address?
45 Holman Road.
Thank you. We appreciate it. All right, so let's bring it back into committee, and I know Commissioner Sullivan wants to say something.
I do want to add two things. I want to add my apologies to the neighborhood as well. We've spoken, I think, about that. But we could have done a better job notifying all of you. I couldn't agree more. I do want to add that we have committed to looking at the ComAv Temple and creating a safe pedestrian access there for all students going to Pierce School or anyone looking to cross Commonwealth Avenue. We've also committed to looking at the Washington ComAv intersection to make improvements there, which would likely be a look at the bike lanes and improving bicycle safety, as well as every other users.
Okay, thank you. So it seems to me that there's a willingness on the part of the administration to relook at this. Is there a schedule, or what are the next steps that you're thinking about?
And I would expect, sorry, Director Cod, I would expect in the next few weeks that we could review the designs and.
We're working on turning the sketches that Mr. Alperin provided into some actual, like, really concept level engineering, but more or less dimensioned and consistent with vehicle access, access for pedestrians, ADA accessibility. There's
accesses.
there's challenges trying to balance all of those different issues, and get all the different modes to work out in consistent with those concepts.
Okay, Councilor Gordon.
I just have a question. You're talking about emergency vehicles, but are we also going to be looking at a way for the neighbors to be able
Yes.
to get from
Yeah.
A to?
Yes,
Okay.
but we have to ensure that whatever design that we
Yeah, no, I
do,
just,
it
I wasn't
allows
sure.
emergency access, particularly the fire trucks.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I understood.
Councilor Dunphy.
Yeah, I guess my question here is understanding the community's concern about the need for access by Marathon Day. Is there, is it feasible? Is there any world in which it is feasible to have something, if a plan were approved tonight, a drawing, is it feasible to have this reconstructed by Marathon Day, or and if not, when can we have a sense of what the timeline would be?
You need a design first.
And what's the timeline on a design like?
We can probably have concepts within the next couple of weeks by the end of January.
We would do a community meeting with the conceptuals.
Okay.
Councilor Gordon.
If the configuration wasn't changed, could there be some kind of something that's done to allow those two streets
Temporary.
to, on Marathon Day, getting out of there?
What we need to figure out, honestly, I think one of the challenges is that Day to Fuller Street movement, because before that, it technically wasn't allowed. it was done all the time, I understand. But theoretically, you're going the wrong way on
That, just to that's for that would be for the Fuller today.
Fuller today, yeah, sorry, I may have.
The day to Fuller
Day and Fuller,
was
easy,
legal,
yeah.
yeah, but now isn't possible.
there's more of a challenge with that cross.
But maybe something could be done if it hasn't been changed to allow them to get in and out on Marathon
We
Day.
need to vet everything. I don't wanna promise and be.
I think my ask would be that we pretty soon, have a clear sense of what the plan is going to be for Marathon Day. Thank you. What is the staging of emergency vehicles? What does that look like? Does it mean that there needs to be an ambulance pre-positioned within the neighborhood? And what will be the access plan in and out for the residents on that day, basically? So if we can have a sense of what that plan is.
So we will work with the BAA on the emergency access. We do it for all along Washington and other areas where the marathon passes through. They work with us to give that emergency access.
And for residents. I think.
We do have a parking plan. They could stage their cars on Fuller and have access in and out. That is not the best answer. I understand that, but if we can't get it done, that is the alternative.
Okay, as colleagues, I think you can understand that, that alternative is a challenging one for many people in the neighborhood. The other end of Fuller is quite a walk away. There's very limited parking existing on Fuller now. For an older resident or someone with mobility needs who needed to get to Fuller Street to access a car that's pre-staged there overnight, this is a pretty challenging plan to get.
I think there's.
Our ultimate goal is to get this done before Marathon Day. I cannot commit to that at this time, but that would be our goal.
Excellent. And I think I understood you correctly. I hope I understood you correctly. You said once there is a plan, that it would be socialized through a community meeting, right?
We already committed to a community meeting once we vetted the plan.
Excellent.
Okay, any other questions to the committee? Is there a motion?
Yeah.
So a motion to hold.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor of hold on this item, please say aye. Any noes? Any abstentions? So that is 6.
Yes.
I wasn't sure if Councilor Kelly was still here. She was here earlier, yeah.
She bounds when she doing the 3 Ps tonight.
Right. Okay, so yes, Commissioner.
Can I ask Mr. Alpern to send us some dates in February where we could get the community together? That would be really helpful.
Yes,
Thank you.
you mean the neighborhood action?
Yes, and the standing committee that you have here.
Thank you, Director Rod and Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so the final item is item 34-26, request for review and clarification of public way improvements requiring city council approval. Malachi and Farrell requesting to review section 2651. Public way improvements constituting specific repairs and consider defining with greater clarity what is meant by major construction work and or whether the section should apply to all construction work requiring city council approval, whether abutters should be notified of any construction work done under this section. Councilor Sullivan.
I'm
Wait,
not
Commissioner.
really sure what they're trying to capture. Is it our paving program? Because we do have a seamless notification for that. For our water sewer work, the same. If it is something like this,
I think it's, I spoke with Councilor Block and he said this is really, an outflow of the previous discussion item because that work was done. No, the abutters weren't notified and it was a decision based on the department to do it because it was something that could be done right there and it was safer.
It was safer. So we can commit to notifying for that type of situation. This is the first time, and part of it is we didn't even think about the marathon access when we were looking at the safety issue at this intersection. It is our fault that you were not notified. I am very, very sorry. Going forward, we will do better. We will notify. So,
So if typically, is this something that you would notify about?
no, we do this all the time. We tee up intersections all of the time. All along Chestnut Street, we teed up probably 7 or 8 of the intersections. At Fuller and Chestnut, we teed up the intersection, put in some traffic calming right there. Most people are for it. This is a different situation that we should have caught. I'm very sorry that we did it.
So what is it you're agreeing to, you would do?
The notification for any larger scale project like that.
Okay.
I don't think people are going to mind if we narrow an intersection by 5 feet to create a safer intersection for turning. This, I agree, should have went out and been notified and got public engagement.
Councilor Getz.
And has to come into it.
You know, I'm just, I don't know whether or not it needs to be at this level or whether or not there needs to be language change, just in terms of the defining of between minor and major construction project. What I'm sort of suggesting is that this seemed to have multiple factors that were influential, just the amount of area that was getting subsumed. And then also just the more than one intersection, right? It was like the multiples. So I'm just sort of panning out a little bit to see the bigger picture, but I don't know that you need that level
I
of.
feel this was a
Okay.
very special situation, a very unusual situation.
Yep,
This should have been noticed. I'm never
Yeah,
gonna argue with that, and we
Yeah.
will do that going forward.
okay,
But it is very rare that we would touch this type of intersection.
right. I'm just sort of thinking in that bigger picture
Yeah.
way, you know, and I don't know. You don't need it, but I'm just sort of curious that, you know, maybe there is that's where I'm thinking right now, and, but.
The only hindrance I can see is trying to define these projects as major and minor,
Right,
and people's different views on what major and minor is.
and that's not defined.
It is not defined.
Okay.
So we are guided by chapter 26,
Yeah.
which gives us all of our construction standards. And we are guided by Complete Streets, which allows us to apply for grant funding. So we do have guidance and requirements that we need to meet for any chapter 90 project. We have to have it approved by the state in order to move forward. So we do have vetting process for all of our paving projects. This is a unique situation. Can't promise you it's never gonna happen again, but if it does happen again, we will notice.
The only other comment that, because when they teed up the intersection between Fuller and Comm, they did soft kinds of, you know.
Yes.
And I don't know whether or not there needs to be a training period, like you were suggesting, in terms of people seeing signage, so that it's temporary, so that then people understand there is a change, you know, and that's, you know, like a certain distance from the
I agree
intersection.
that we could probably look at posting a sign at the intersection of Comm and Washington to let them know that there's a dedicated right turn lane for Dane Street. We will ask them to really look at that.
Help a lot.
CO Morse and then Councilor Grossman.
Thank you. Just going to say real briefly, one of the things that the Laredo administration is going to be bringing back are some internal cluster meetings. These are meetings where it's an opportunity for core departments to kind of be a focus group for projects like this, to kind of tease out and test out if they might be different or unique, or if there's another layer of communication or collaboration or engagement either with the community or the council that might be necessary. I would say the other thing that's kind of important that I've learned over the years is that while it's very difficult to define major and minor, a minor project can have a major impact and a major project can have a very minor impact. So I don't think it's as easy as defining it that way. I think we just, quite frankly, and very bluntly, we just need to do better at making sure we're thinking through these things and seeing if there are impacts or pinch points, and making sure we're communicating out to our residents.
Thank you. Councilor Grossman.
So I was gonna make a very similar point to what COO Morse just talked about. I had a few different much more minor examples in my mind over just the last year alone, where it was a very similar situation. DPW was out, hey, right, well, Waverly and Franklin is even sort of another different extreme situation. But I was thinking about even the addition of a bike lane in parts of Beacon Street coming off of the Hammond Pond Parkway reconstruction, and then there was some paving down on Beacon. And then it changed to the bike lane that was just sort of put in without, anybody knowing in advance.
I don't know that anyone opened our notice, but we did notice.
Right, well, regardless, as
there are
Mark said,
some.
counselor, like, I wasn't noticed, but so part of the issue is there's a fine line here, because we also can't hamstring you to have to notice everybody about every little everything, or we'll never get anything done. So, understand, I'm not complaining that I wasn't noticed, I'm just pointing out that, like, then suddenly residents were writing to me and I didn't know what they were talking about. So, another, and I don't actually know what the process was, but like the bike lane thing on Elliott Street.
Yeah.
That happened this year, like there've been a number of these examples where all of a sudden something that seems like it makes sense from the engineering side goes in, and the neighborhood is then really
That
upset
did
about
come to public facilities.
It
and
did?
was- Yes.
Okay,
and
well, I didn't.
So that type of project absolutely comes here.
Okay, well, we can look at all the other things. Not really.
Anytime that we changed the traffic flow in terms of add or delete a lane of traffic,
Yeah,
it needs to come to the Public Facilities Committee. Anytime that we put a deflection in the roadway, it needs to come to the Public Facilities Committee for approval. So
anyway, I just
there
to
is
say,
ordinance language for that.
more of my point was, I think you guys understand what we're trying to say, and I know for sure, having been Board 7 colleagues with Mayor Laredo, that he definitely understands, because we came up against a lot of these different kinds of examples, and whatever we can do to help figure out, process improvement, and where the right lines are, I'm interested, and I am interested, but like, I think we should actually give a little thought to what this is and make sure that it accurately reflects what we wanted to do. So that's all.
John, we are committed to doing a better job of communication.
I know you are. I
Across
really
the board.
appreciate it.
I don't know if this is an appropriate question or not, but talking about the Beacon Street, the new turn onto Hammond Pond Parkway. Is this something new that you have a red light on right turns?
So
A red arrow turning.
they do, that is a DCI project. That their roadway and it's their intersection, so they did do that. They did make changes, they did replace the signals there.
So you can't make a right turn at will anymore, you have to wait.
Counselor Dumbed.
I actually really like to dive more into that, but I don't want to.
That we can, I'm happy to have a meeting on that with all of you.
Yeah.
We can pull out the DCR plans and look at everything.
That is, but that's.
Yeah, that's a separate.
Okay.
All the time. It's a problem.
That's a wild change, that little bike thing. Anyway, go ahead.
Just to kind of pick up this thread from CEO Morse from Councilor Grossman, I think the language in this docket item and the question is about not this sort of major minor, which, what major work has a minor impact, what minor work has a major impact. This, my understanding is that what you have done at this intersection, and I kind of also want to divorce this specific intersection from this docket item a little bit. It seems like pretty typical work. But the oddness of this intersection is has caused it to have an outsized impact. And I was reading earlier 2651, which is I think what you were referencing, Commissioner Sullivan, about the when it's a change of a lane, that's when you kind of have a question and vertical deflections. And so even though it was an illegal turn that was happening before, functionally, this has kind of removed a left turn lane from further on today. And so I think that's why, that's the scale of impact. And so I guess the question becomes for me, how do we measure significance of impact versus actual significance of the work that's being done? And I think that's what this docket item is kind of fundamentally about. And I don't know if if you have an existing or standard review process for impact. If there isn't, I should educate myself on it. But if not, it would be helpful, I think, to kind of understand how we assess and look at what's the impact of an action versus what is the action itself. And kind of where the threshold is for how that comes here or not. And at the same time, I would like to say I'm very sensitive to the idea of not making your job harder. And so I would like to avoid that.
Yeah.
Problem coming back, but my goal is not to slow our paving program and our sidewalk program. Those are critical city, we need a lot of infrastructure. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just say, when I read this, I thought, well, this could be dangerous because I don't want to slow down with the work that gets done in the 15 years that I've been here. Councilor Arba, you can talk more about the years you've been here. I've never had this question about major versus minor or had minor things come and be questioned. I feel like it's important to allow DPW to do their work. And if, once in 15 years or whatever it might be, there's a mistake, then we redo it. But I think the notifying is very important, and I think their judgment is really important.
we do one thing, we paved over 130 roads this year. This is our one issue right now that really has caused an impact, and it was a unique situation. So for the most part, people are very pleased.
Yeah.
When we pave and we construct new sidewalks, or we move forward with sewer and water and culvert cleaning.
Yeah, any other questions? Is there a motion on this? Councilor Gross.
I would like to hold it only because, well, for one thing, our 3 co-doctors aren't here. So I want to make 100% sure we understand their full intent. And the other thing is, we may over time, as this discussion continues, not saying we should take it up in public facilities anytime soon. But as these other discussions are percolating and we learn things, there may be adjustments we want to make to this section. And I don't want to foreclose that opportunity by any.
Okay.
So I would move hold.
All right, motion to hold. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Any abstentions?
You don't want to try to persuade us with this?
You're taking over the role of Councilor Rado very nicely. Almost everything for 2 years.
Yeah. Right, thank you, to the committee and for everybody attending, I can say we're adjourned, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're adjourned at, 8:17.
Yeah.
Recording stopped.